Bass line number 22, Bad Dog. Most of this tune is between the D7 and the G7. There's one 5 chord, which is A7 in there. The thing about this tune is the way you get from the D to the G, holding the groove down and coming up with these little variations that sort of like rhyme with each other, and they're just like these little adventures of how to get to and from each chord. I'm going to demonstrate and play it for you right now. Okay, this song is 3 choruses long. Now, the first chorus has 2 extra bars and is 10 bars long. The second and third choruses of the 3 are 8 bars long. So a chorus in this particular terminology means go ahead and like play a chorus. It sort of means the whole song as opposed to the chorus of a song. You know, let me blow a few choruses, man. As opposed to the standard definition of the chorus of a pop song or a traditional folk song, which is like the part of the song that is repeated after the verse or verses, you know, often by many singers in a group way, also known as the hook in some circles. In jazz terminology and old R&B terminology where cats have played a lot and stuff, they call it a chorus when it starts in the beginning of the song, goes all the way to the end, no matter, you know, whatever's in the middle. One full chorus means the whole piece. So if somebody says to you, play a chorus, you don't go to the center of the tune and play the chorus like on a Christina Aguilera song or a pop song. The chorus in this terminology, jazz terminology, whatever we want to call it, is talking about the entire length of the form. Now, in jazz terminology, the melody written over the entire form is called the head. Now, in this Bad Dog piece, the bass line begins with the Charleston rhythm. We've discussed this earlier, and it is that dotted quarter eighth, right? And it's followed by some passing notes and some approach notes that travel from chord to chord. So let me show you what I mean by the Charleston. That's the first bit of business right there. So, you know, you got to know your dotted quarter eighths. That's why I've called it Charleston over the years, because a drummer on a session once years ago from New Orleans is an older guy, and I said, it's like a dotted quarter eighth, man, right? And a boom, boom. He goes, yeah, it's a Charleston. And he just called it that, and so I just remembered. You know, you get these things from these older guys, right? They've been around a long time, and that's what he called it. So the Charleston rhythm is the beginning of the phrase. Then there's these approach tones I was talking about, fills and approach tones, right? There are many chromatic devices employed, as well as major pentatonic approach tones. That's a major pentatonic, the 5th, the 6th, and the root. We've discussed that in earlier pieces 3 or 4 times. And the chords for each chorus are D to G7, repeating either 3 or 4 times based on whether it's the first chorus, which I told you is longer than the other 2, followed by an A7 for 1 bar and a D7 for 1 bar. Now I'm going to explain all that. I've talked a lot. Now I'm going to show you what I mean. So the first pickup to the song is, I wanted to give you a lot of information that you can dissect and begin understanding and analyzing and then put it into your playing. So the first line, the pickup, is 1, 2, 3, 4, pickup. Very common. You can play it here or here. They sound a little different because this string is fatter. So And I like to do it here sometimes because you're already right there with your little finger on this D, and you're going to this G as the next chord. So here we go, moving forward with the information I want you to get from this. We do the pickup, and then we have a Charleston. So that's the first event. And that's a lot of information to shed right there to practice. You can just put a metronome on and do that. But that's only the very beginning of the song, so that's the first 2 beats of the song. Anyway, here we go. Then there's this rhythm. Now that's born of something. That's born of an old Bo Diddley kind of a riff that's born of the clave. Ga, 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 ga. It's like da, 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 or, you know, it's a New Orleans kind of thing. That's the beginning of this phrase. There's a whole universe of information in one measure I've just given you. And now we're going to use some passing notes to get down to the 4 chord. You can approach any note by half steps. So, another Charleston. There's a Charleston on this chord. So, let's back up and review. Now here, I use a half-step approach. You can do that half-step approach thing on any chord. So here we go, moving on. Now, chromatic line is going to happen now to the 1. And here's these 2 first measures. A lot of information there for you to practice. The pickup, the Charleston, the Bo Diddley, the chromatic passing, and then another Charleston. Approach tone, half step, and a chromatic. How about that? Here it is, played musically. Moving on. Now, I told you earlier in the lesson plan, you can go back and listen, the call and response concept in church music, in the black church, is a very beautiful thing to understand. The first 2 phrases of this tune says the statement. Now here's an answer to it, a response. Here it is, the second 2 measures over the same chords. Here it is, Charleston. They rhyme, sort of. They're call and response. Here's the first and second lines together. First and second phrases. It's a 4-bar phrase at this point, and here we go. You hear how that rhymed? There was a 2-bar statement and then an answer to it. And they're slightly different. That's the kind of weave we get going in our playing. We do a statement and an answer to it, a statement and an answer to it. It's a beautiful way of conceiving playing. Response. First line. That's an alteration of the first line. Some chromatic tones. Back to the other thing. Okay? I'm going to play that whole phrase now and make music out of it. It's a lot of stuff to think about. I want you to start understanding what this stuff means and why it's there and putting it into your playing as years pass. So, pick up. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the first 8-bar phrase. The rest of the tune will be evident to you as you begin to dig into it. Put some headphones on, get your bass, listen to the track that I have included with me playing bass on it, and try to learn it. Then put on the track with no bass and play it, and watch my description. Begin, if you want to take notes, write it down. But there's a lot of information in those 8 bars I just played, and it happens 3 times. Actually, that was 10 bars. I told you the first chorus is 10 bars long. I wanted you to understand that not every chorus in music is going to be the same length. The 10 bars, maybe because the singer had another sentence to say. So you do 10 bars, 8 bars, and 8 bars. This is the 5 chord here. 1. There you go. Bad dog, because it is 1.